Good.
Good.
All right. Hey, everybody. It's Thursday night. It's 7-ish. And it's time for Thursday Night Live at the Gun Shop. Unlike the last few weeks, I'm doing this by myself tonight. Just Steph and I again. So we're going to kind of piddle here a second and let folks get logged in and logged on. And
Now I'm going to get you some coffee.
she's going
Won't
to
you
get me
let them know
some.
what kind of coffee we're drinking?
She is going to make me a cup of After Action. Some of you guys that's been with us a while know this was the original coffee blend that we brought out. It's the beans come out of Papua New Guinea. Then they are aged in freshly emptied bourbon barrels, which of course draws the flavor of the bourbon into the bean. Gives it an amazing, amazing smell when it's making. It's a really nice evening coffee, dessert coffee. Just any time that you've been out, you've been active, and you want to just kick back and relax, After Action's the coffee for that. Tonight, we're going to try to make this an interesting show for you guys. We had one show planned, and well, that one's not happening tonight. We ran into some very last-minute difficulties.
Yeah.
So we'll be
Eric says, hey, y'all. And John Miller says, hi, guys.
hey Eric, hey John. They're always faithful.
Yes.
Have we got many?
We got Joe Wright,
Who's
Nathan
never wrong?
Smith,
Nathan,
and Johnny Carter.
Johnny. Is that all we got?
That's it for right now.
Well,
It's okay.
few in number but big in spirit.
That's right.
Let's just give it a couple of minutes. I wished I could tell you guys about the phone call I literally just hung up with. That's one of the reasons we're running a couple of minutes late. But
Maybe you can't tell them what it was about, but you can tell them who you were talking to.
no, I don't
No?
even really want to go there yet.
Okay.
But let's just say there may be some really interesting stuff coming in about 6 months.
Very cool.
Something I've wanted to do for a long time. And
We got
this should be fun.
JP, whoever, I don't know who that is. Could be JP.
Could be.
Tyler Murphy, Jason Blanton.
Tyler, Jason, glad to have y'all. See, we're getting a few more popping on here.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight, we're going to start off. We're going to talk about something that happened in the Fifth Court of Appeals, Circuit Court of Appeals, Appellate Court of Appeals.
Court of Appeals.
Which, some of you that keep up with some of this may know that, the Fifth Circuit has really starting to become known as the conservative circuit. They're taking their job seriously. They're interpreting the Constitution and what was in it, and what is in it, and applying the Constitution as written. You'll hear the major news medias talk about it as a bad thing called originalism. But today, I believe it was today, the Fifth Circuit ruled that the prohibition on 18 to 20-year-olds buying handguns is unconstitutional. That if we're going to consider them adults in one thing, we have to consider them adults in all things.
Johnny Carter needs some prayers. He's been in the hospital the past 17 days. Still have a while to go. He's going to have his leg amputated.
Ooh. Well, some of you guys, I hope everybody heard what Stephanie read out. Said Johnny's having a hard time, been in the hospital for
17 days.
17 days, looking at some pretty major surgery. And he's asking for the prayers, so we can assure they'll come from our end.
Definitely. Eric, yes, we have got that light put back for you. It's got your name written on it.
Got that what?
The FD stream light.
Yes.
We got Dakota Ramey, Johnny Powell, Devin Winberry, Blaine Burleson.
Hey, folks.
We got a few more.
Glad to have y'all. So anyway, Fifth Circuit Court brought that ruling down. So that does not mean that tomorrow 18 to 20-year-olds can start running out buying pistols.
No.
It means we have a really good step in that direction, because you can bet that I would just about be willing to totally bet that this is appealed. I don't think on this one we'll get much help from President Trump, especially considering who he's nominated for Attorney General, and the fact that she's going to the full Senate for a vote. Pam Bondi out of Florida, she has defended the 18 to 20-year-old bans and imposing on their constitutional and civil rights. Nearly religiously in Florida. She is somebody that we're going to have to worry about. She's going to be a problem. And it's very disappointing that President Trump and his administration chose to put her in that position.
Chris Todd said, hey, Tom and Stephanie.
Hey, Chris, glad to have you tonight, brother.
He just rolled in from Nashville.
I bet you're tired. I know you had a rough day.
Whew.
They've had pictures of the ruckus.
Oh, goodness.
Well, today, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris is the chairman of the committee dealing with the immigration issues. And he laid out very plainly at the beginning of the hearings that they've been having in Nashville conduct that is and is not permissible during the hearing. And apparently there was we will say lady, who became unruly. And, their fingers snapped. I don't know what the thing is about them snapping their fingers. And other things, all I know is, just what I've read. But becoming quite the nuisance, and after being called down and asked to pipe down more than once, Chris asked the sergeant at arms to remove her. And then ended up having to have the troopers assigned to the Capitol come in and take her out.
Goodness.
I think they grabbed her by the arms and the legs and toted her out. So I know Chris has had a trying day. That is not something he would choose. Did I get that right, Chris? Maybe he'll pipe back in here in a second.
He said, I was chair of immigration for this extraordinary session, which we concluded. It was an honor for the speaker to ask me to chair that committee.
And I know you did a great job. That's just what you do. But yeah, I know that was a trying day for you, brother. And I'm sorry you had to go through it. some folks just don't know how to act like grown-ups.
He said that is correct. We want public participation and involvement, but you have to obey the rules and not disrupt the committee.
And, this is being made a big deal. CNN and everybody else has got it all over the place. And, I know Chris, consider Chris a good friend. And I can personally tell you, when he says he wants public involvement, he means he wants public involvement. Nothing makes him happier as a representative and is hearing from his constituents and the people that he's elected to represent.
And if anybody questions it, they can just go watch last week's show. I think that would clear it up real quick for them.
Real quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yes.
Or call him.
Yes.
Call him, send him an email or something. We'll find out. So, like I said, I know that was not something he wanted to do, but something you have to do. You have, when you're trying to have a public meeting, you have to have people who are civil and can behave themselves and can express their disagreement, which I know they're welcome to do.
Just be an adult about it.
In the right way. We're grown-ups, you can't expect to throw a fit like a 6-month-old child and have other grown-ups take you seriously.
No.
But anyway, getting on from that. So yeah, with that order from the Fifth Circuit Court, we'll just have to see where this goes. But I expect, the full Senate, they're going to get a vote on Pam Bondi. I think she's all but confirmed. And I think that's a bad thing for gun owners in this country and other people who really value individual rights, because I don't know that she's that strong on individual rights.
Our favorite veterinarian just joined us.
Well, no, Scotty. I hope they didn't break you up at Dyersburg. So we're gonna have to look and see how that comes out. If we had a better candidate for AG, I would have much better feeling about seeing that coming to a head very quickly. President Trump promised us that all the Biden stuff would be taken care of in the first week he is in office, and we haven't taken care of anything yet. You got a thing the ATF said, we rolled back zero tolerance, but no, they didn't. When you read it, they added to it. Maybe they changed the name of the policy or whatever, but they've actually added to rather than took away.
Yeah.
So, right now, as far as gun owners, and understand, everybody knows I'm a Trump fan, but as far as gun owners right now, he made the promises of the first week, and they have not been lived up to. So, if everybody thinks we're just going to slide for 4 years, it's not. That's far from the truth. We have a chance in the next 2 years, year to 2 years, to make some very, very, very big leaps, but it's only going to happen if we stand up as citizens, not subjects, and demand our rights. Working with groups like TFA, Gun Owners of America, Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Council, especially Tennessee Firearms Association and GOA. that's two groups that can represent our interest and have power to represent our interest because of the membership. But we have to get off our duffs and do something too.
Molly joined us.
Hello, Molly. So I sit here by myself. um, so anyway, let's get on to what we're going to talk about tonight. I think that's enough for random thoughts.
Doing pretty good. Only 15 minutes ish.
Usually the week after SHOT Show, we come back and we talk about the new stuff we saw and what was going on at SHOT. And of course, didn't go this year, but I will give you the yearly rundown. It was very, very crowded. The majority of everybody that went is sick now.
That's normal.
Yeah. Everybody come back sick. So most of this week, everybody's been home, not been able to go to work. They've been home and with upset stomachs and flu-like symptoms and other things. As far as new stuff, really, guys, there wasn't a whole lot new. I know there's all these channels on YouTube that's out there talking about what's new for 2025. Truth is, it was a pretty boring year. Of course, there's stuff that got shown that's never going to be made. There's stuff that they said was being announced at SHOT Show that we've already had in stock and been selling. A lot of the Canic stuff, for example.
Yeah.
Some of the lever action guns that run on AR mags and that kind of thing. They've been talking about those for 2 years now. I don't think anybody's ever seen the first one. Kind of like the Browning A520 gauge.
That everybody keeps calling about.
It's supposed to have been out last February, and here we are and going into February, and still nobody's ever seen one. You had a lot of variations off the 1911 or 2011. Different people playing with that. Different magazine configurations. I think OA, of course, is talking about theirs with that uses the SIG P2 pig mags.
Pig mags?
It's got pig mags. SIG P320 mags. Nothing new. Lance has had one for 3 months.
We need to. Pig mags sounds good.
There was somebody else, maybe EAA, I can't remember, somebody else showing another 2011 that's going to be Glock mag compatible, similar to the Platypus. It's just it's a lot of rehashing stuff that's already there. People said, "Oh my, Kel-Tec did something amazing. They've made a gun with no magazine." No, it's got a magazine. It's got a spring-loaded feeding device. A spring-loaded ammunition feeding device. It just doesn't detach from the gun. It's called a blind box magazine.
Nothing new.
Really nothing new. Been around since the 1800s. A lot of your very first semi-automatic pistols were done that way, fed by stripper clips. And George Kellgren, the guy that founded Kel-Tec, company he worked for before he founded Kel-Tec, he actually did the first 380 he designed, the old Grendels, had a blind box. So, the broom handle Mauser, some of the Steyr pistols, early Steyr pistols, several of them had internal magazines that were fed by stripper clips. Of course, the reason Caltech did that is because it's looking like Colorado is going for a ban on any semi-automatic that has a detachable magazine. So, with Denver and those areas being the population centers and, controlling a lot of what's going into their House and Senate,
Yeah.
Colorado's become one of the more liberal. Well, it's Colorado. California took over Colorado.
Yeah.
So, you may see that happen. For those folks out there, of course, it'll be a court battle, and who knows 10 years from now if it'll stand or not. But, that's the thinking Caltech's using designing that gun. They're watching, they're covering in places that have bans in certain language in their bans.
Yeah.
Hoping to get a product into those places. So, I mean, it's just good, Mark. But as far as everybody running around talking about they've done something new and revolutionary, no, they've taken what's old and made it new again. The other thing you see is different people following SIG's example of the internal fire control group, like on the 320 or the 365. You got the Ruger Magpul, what is it, RXM or
Yes.
something that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Glock 19 with a removable fire control group, basically.
Yeah.
So nothing really just earth-breaking or earth-shattering or any of that. Like I said, they've shown some stuff that a lot of us have been seeing for a couple of years that's not come to fruition. You could tell that the YouTubers were really stretching, trying to find something to make content off of. But
I shared a few things that I thought were interesting. Like, I think I shared some pristine stuff.
Yeah.
I shared Mountain Billy Gun Labs on our page.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff that they posted,
stuff there,
Yeah.
But even those guys really, they didn't have anything new that they're announcing at SHOT Show.
Glenn Robinson said reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty much, yeah. But it that's the way it happens. What old gets to be new again.
Mm-hmm.
So SHOT was crowded, overpriced. Everybody got sick. I'm sure there was cool stuff there to see, but not a lot of new stuff announced. They make it sound like there was, but in reality, especially compared to last year, I mean,
there was
so much new stuff rolled out, and I think that's why it didn't happen this year.
Because they poured all of it into last year's.
Well, everybody poured it all out at SHOT, and then they didn't really have anything till third quarter, and they started trying to get it out to bolster sales.
Yeah.
So they really didn't have it to pour out at SHOT this year. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see. Of course, if anybody's watched the shows lately, they know I'm on the outs with the NRA.
Yes. That's what I gathered a few shows ago.
Now, don't want to do anything that might support them. So I probably will not go to the NRA show this year. But it may be interesting to see if new things get rolled out there. Because you used to see that a lot. Or if they hold it up, because I know a lot of manufacturers, people I'm talking to, are excited about goals. So you got NRA that's coming up there in the latter part of April. But then you'll have GOA coming up in August.
Mm-hmm.
First part of August. which would be a really great time, a really great time to roll new product
Mm-hmm.
because people are, especially if you're in the hunting market. Huh. Don't know. We'll see. But I can tell you we will be at Goals. We will have WHMC custom rifles
Now that's cool.
being shown off at Goals. Um, we will be teaming with what I've been told, we'll be teaming with the folks from Wooks.
That's what I heard.
You know, I guess Sarah thinks since she broke me, she needs to take care of me.
Yes, it's Jared told everybody she broke you.
Um, and what I understand that with Sarah, we'll be teaming with Wooks again this year. We were together last year at NRA. It was Pristine and Wooks and WHMC. I'm hoping that's what it's going to look like for Goals. And you know, hopefully some of our customers, some of the people that we know are there, and you know, you can meet some of the people you see us talking to on the phone or hear us speaking about here in the shop. Be able to check out because I think we got a little more time this year, so we're gonna try to put some cool stuff together for that show. And come in hard and heavy. So let's get to tonight's stuff.
What you got over there?
We're going to talk about silencers, suppressors, moderators, cans.
We do sell those.
We saw a lot of those.
Yes, we do.
And, you know, right now we have got a great selection
Mm-hmm.
of cans in-house or silencers in-house. And we've got some stuff that's really just come in today. Some stuff that's been kind of hard to get our hands on.
Yeah, some of the ones that came in today we haven't had in over a year.
Or, you know, 6 months, 7 months on some of these. And,
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about some of these.
All right.
Okay.
You gotta be careful.
This is a silencer. It's made by Silencer Co.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the 46 DTM. What?
Trey Cleek says y'all helped me with my first purchase of a can. Yes, we did.
Trey, you're going to have to come up and sit in on the show with me one night.
That would be a very good idea.
And we're going to do a show here soon where we're going to have entertainment on the show.
Oh.
Jacob's going to come up and do a show with me.
Very cool.
So he'll be doing a little picking and grinning, and we'll be talking about guns, and
Very cool.
hell, we might even get a hound dog to lay in front of us. I don't know. But anyway,
You can get Molly, bring Gizmo.
he's too loud. The Silencer Co. 46 DTM. Really, what this is, it's the original hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
Before they come out with the modular one. Works with the Bravo mount systems in the back,
Mm-hmm.
but these come with just the direct thread mount in the box.
They do.
So they are hub compatible. When we say hub compatible, that means the 1.375 by 28 thread pattern on the inside of the can here that this screws into. And you're finding that to be the more universal pattern, so they're calling it the hub. These are really handy. I know I can get all kinds of arguments started, and you can go on the internet and get in all kinds of arguments. But these are really handy because when you've got a good 46 caliber can laying around, it's very rare that you run into something you cannot put a suppressor on. I mean, you got to get into the 50 cals
Yeah.
before
I
you
think we
get.
got one of those.
Yeah, we do. Before you get into something that's too, it's too big for this. Now, granted, it's not the best 223 or 5.56 can or 22 250 can or maybe even the greatest 30 caliber can. But the difference isn't that great. There's not that huge a difference. Uh, the versatility of having one of these more than makes up for the compromise, in my opinion. Um, but this has been a really popular can. We can't talk about how much things cost and
Right.
that kind of thing, but I can tell you these are under $6.
That's pretty good.
So you're getting a can made by Salter Co. with a solid reputation. It's been proven. Um, yes, it's just come in with the direct thread mount. It's a 5H24 mount. It's easy to adapt. If you decide if you want to go ASR, you can take this out, screw the ASR mount in, and roll.
John Miller said he had his out at the range today. It works well.
John does have one of these, doesn't he? I thought that's what John got.
They have.
And they do work well. I mean, I've used them on 5.56. I've used them on 300 Win Mag. I've used them on 338 Lapua, 4570. And what's cool? I've done that in one day, where we were moving the can. And you can, if you wish, get different front caps
Mm-hmm.
with caliber specific holes. Me personally, I leave the 46 caliber one in all the time because I am the guy that would take this off, put the 22 cap in, forget it, and put it on a 4570. And then, yeah, you can do that once. So I just leave this in. But if you're really that worried about the sound, putting the smaller caliber specific front cap on will help with and give you a little more sound reduction. But now if you're running the semi-automatic guns where you're worried about back pressure, getting the back pressure, wanting to drop the back pressure down some, or this works basically the same as your flow through. What's flow through technology? It's venting out a little extra gas or venting out extra gas through the can. It's letting it go past the bullet
Mm-hmm.
and venting it out the front of the can so that it doesn't have as much back pressure. And you're doing exactly the same thing when you use an oversized can. A certain amount of gas is getting past the bullet. What?
Nothing.
What's on there that's funny? Oh, you get a certain amount of gas that gets past the bullet, goes out the front, and drops the back pressure on the back side of the can. So, if you don't feel like spending $1,000, $1,200 for a Hux Works, buy an oversized can.
There you go.
So that's the Salter Co. 46 DTM. Now this is one we have not had in probably a year.
Yes.
It's the Omega 300 DTM. Again, the same can as the original Omega 300. Get the anchor brake. It just comes with the direct thread mount on the back. This is a 30 caliber can. It's great for reducing recoil.
Luke Davenport is asking, what are y'all seeing on NFA turnaround times lately?
2 to 14 days after certification. Some of the stuff that had gotten slow is turning now.
We've seen several that, for some reason,
they got hung up or whatever that have come back, and they seem to be coming back in mass. We had one a couple today come back that were 2 days. We certified the people on the 28th, and they got their cans back today.
Yeah.
So
Turnaround time's still pretty fast.
still pretty fast. And even trusts seem to be turning good.
Yeah, that from what I see, they're treating trusts just like individuals. They're going about the same time.
Yeah, especially if they're running like the NFA trust from Silencer Shop. Because one of the things that slow trust down is the ATF, whoever it is, they have to verify the trust.
You know, we even had one that had his own trust, and it only took
But it had already had stuff put in it. Yeah.
Yes.
He hadn't existed because he already had NFA stuff.
Yes.
So that trust had been verified.
Right.
Previously.
But it wasn't from Silencer Shop.
No, I mean, if you've got a trust that you've already got stuff in, you know,
that helps.
when that goes in, I mean, it's obvious that trust's already been verified.
Right.
I'm talking about if a person's starting fresh. Right. And I'm not trying to sell the Silencer Shop trust because, I mean, we don't make a penny off that. It's just more work for you.
Yeah. It's okay.
It actually ends up costing us a little money. But I use that as an example because when ATF wrote their explanation, they actually used that as their example in the communication that ATF put out. The Silencer Shop NFA trust or their one-shot trust, you know, when they were talking about, when they see those, they see them every day, and it's obvious that they're real.
Right.
So they may not stop and verify every one of those. Okay, this is the Silencer Shop. It's an actual trust. Roll on. It meets all the legal requirements.
Right.
So 300 Omega 300 DTM. Of course, you got the anchor brake. Now you can put just a normal front cap on it if you want to break, lose that, what, 1.5 inches, 2 inches?
Yeah.
Shorten the can up. It is hub compatible if you want to put the hub in it and be able to run it on an ASR brake.
That's one of the questions I had earlier.
So yes, it is hub compatible. So what the other thing hub compatible means, let me talk about that a second. Let's say, for example, you're running you're running dead air cans, and you're running chemo brakes on your cans for your, the dead air chemo system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you all of a sudden like this Silencer Co. Well, if it's hub compatible, if both cans are hub compatible, which we'll say I don't know, primal, whatever, it's hub compatible. And we'll say that you've got that primal set up for chemo, which is the name of Silencer Co. has ASR, one of the dead airs is chemo. You could take this out, put the dead air chemo adapter in here, screw it right in, and roll on. As long as it's, so that's the nice thing when you see that a can is hub compatible, you can adapt it to whatever system you're already running in most cases.
Right.
It's most every major can maker out there is making a can that's hub compatible and making their muzzle brakes. So it makes it easy to be able to change things around. You're not just stuck. Okay, I'm running dead air, so all I can buy is dead air cans because I have to have their systems different than Silencer Co. system. That's how it used to be. Now you can just go, okay, I'm running dead air, and all my cans hub compatible. So I'm just going to take the direct thread mount out. I'm going to put a dead air
Chemo.
chemo thing in my can and roll on. So that's made it nice. You know, this can, guys, is it's a great can. It's again, it's under that 6. So you know, literally 2 really good cans you can get into for less than a G-Bob, or about a G-Bob after everything's said and done. So that's 2 of the 2 of them that's come in. Another one that we're keeping in stock. This actually is an AR-15 barrel. Trying to sit up straight.
Jason Blanton said, "Good to know that, Tom. I've got dead air chemo brakes."
Yeah, so, you know, if you wanted to run a silencer coat can, and it's hub compatible, you just buy the chemo, the chemo part, or you could literally take the can home and take the adapter out of the back of one of the cans you got and put in there if you didn't want to buy another one. And you weren't going to be running them at the same time.
Yep.
This is actually a 10.5-inch 9mm AR barrel. It's internally suppressed. The whole barrel is the suppressor. This is made by Edstad Arms. It's called the
Vanquish.
It's a very, very interesting design in that it's baffleless. There are no baffles. Let's see if you guys can see down through there.
There we go. Yeah, I'll get right around. There we go.
You guys can see down there, there's no baffles in the tube. And the barrel itself has different holes drilled in it. Okay, now some of these holes are actually threaded and some aren't. The threaded holes are for keeping gas in. Like right now in the configuration this barrel's set up in, it's set up for maximum suppression. So you could literally go buy the cheap 115, 124 full metal jackets, and they're gonna be stupid quiet coming out of this barrel. But when it's set up for maximum suppression, you're losing velocity.
Jason Blanton says, "I've got one of those that, thanks to Steph's help with the paperwork." You're very welcome.
These things are just, they get really, really quiet with the cheap ammo. Take it out if you're worried about velocity, if you're using it for personal protection, using gun personal protection or whatever, you want to get your velocity back up. Just unscrew it like I just did. Take the barrel out, put the plug screws in the holes. Now you're up where you're running with your velocity. You got your velocity back up. Gun's going to get a little louder because you're not venting out and capturing as much gas inside.
Right.
But you're going to get your velocity back. It's still going to be more than hearing safe. Well more than hearing safe. So, you know, for those that want to do like a, I don't know, like an AR pistol, and keep the whole thing nice and short, and be able to suppress it, and
That's a wonderful choice.
it is. I think everybody that's bought one of these has absolutely loved it. And again, it's under that 6 mark.
Yep.
So we're going to stay in that same vein, and we're going to go to this one, which is again a Vanquish from Anstat. But this is actually a 22 barrel for a Ruger 1022. You know, one of the easiest guns out there to change a barrel on.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get it unscrewed.
Oh, it
And you
takes
can
a
see
minute
it's
on
the same way. 0 baffles. And you can see the holes in the barrel. Again, there are some of those that are threaded. Most folks I know that's running them are just running them for maximum suppression. So they're not putting the screws.
One of our friends who bought one of those, they said their Nerf gun was louder than that.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we have seen is that they shoot pretty dang good groups. Pretty dang good groups. And I mean, these are, looks like probably the easiest barrel to change out there.
John Miller wants to know, will it fit a 7722?
No,
Just the 1022.
1022 or the clone, you know, the 1022 clones that use
Yeah.
the V block. So that's another one that's here. Again, that's a unit that's under that 6 mark. So, you know, right now we've looked at 4 really cool, very different cans that have had high reviews from actual users that we know. Not talking about the people on TV getting paid, but the
Actual customers.
Yeah, people that have come in here and spent their money on it, and went out and used it in real life, and people that are happy, and continually be happy, and you know, a lot of them buying second and thirds of these products. So, you know, that's the best recommendation I can find. You know, when people vote with their billfold.
They do.
And if they like that product well enough that they're buying multiples, then you're in pretty good idea that it's been successful.
Definitely.
And I know we've got people that's bought, you know, we got about 4 or 5 of just the 46 DTMs. So, and again, those are cans that don't necessarily break the bank.
Not at all.
You know, one of the biggest questions I get is, how much does the silencer cost? How many times a day you hear that one?
A lot.
And
a lot.
This is the answer I give people. If it's a centerfire can, and it costs less than $500, you probably do not want it. There's a few right in that $500 range, a few, that are actually really good buys. There's a couple from AB that I'm thinking of. There's 7.62 can and a 5.56 can that are right there at that mark.
Very good cans.
Really solid cans, good technology, and they're right at that $500 mark. And yeah, those are cans you're not going to mind owning for years to come. Because you got to remember, when you buy one of these, it's like being married. Sure, you can get rid of it, but it's cheaper to keep her. So you want to think about these. These ain't things you go out and trade off. Well, I don't think I like them. I'm going to trade off. No, it's a $200 tax every time every time that can changes hands
Mm-hmm.
and paperwork and all that stuff. And so it's not something there's a big secondary market for.
Mm-mm.
When you buy it, you need to buy it with the intent of, I'm going to have it. The Now this is another neat can, and this can is made by JK. They seem to have a love or they seem to get love or hate.
Yep.
You know, people seem to either love them or absolutely hate them. No, this can is just at that, just below that 5 mark.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to me, it's one of those exceptions I'm talking about. However, there are a lot of people, very smart people, who will argue with me about that.
Eric Ferguson says he likes his 36 Omega. He got from us.
Eric, text me later and tell me how your son's doing, please. I'm just sitting here tearing it up.
Uh-huh. I guess this would make this one really easy to clean, right?
This would be really, really, really easy to clean. This would actually be one, if you want a center fire can that you could shoot rim fires through.
Luke's asking, what's the real quality difference between the $500 can and the 1,000+ can?
One is materials.
Yep.
A big one is materials. A lot of the when you're getting those those really low cost cans, they're using lower grades aluminum. They're using aluminum baffles. Um, from a lot of what I've seen, the tolerances aren't necessarily very good. So service life is going to be one thing. You know, I don't know that. I know me personally. I don't have enough money to wear one of those cans out in the rest of my life.
No. Eric said we'll do.
Um, the shape of the baffles, the material in the baffles.
Such as the titanium ones, they're going to cost more.
Titanium costs more.
But they're really light.
If they're doing, but if you're doing, say a 6065 aluminum with a class 2 anodizing, that's just not going to last. It's going to be cheaper, much, much cheaper.
Zach Moore said 500 is really shushy, and 1,000 is shushier.
But one of the things I'm trying to show is that you can buy some cans at that 5 to 6 that are worth owning. But below that, you're just not getting quality. Like I said, you're going to find it. Titanium costs more than cheaper aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
A high grade stainless costs more.
Mm-hmm.
So if it just makes sense, you cannot make that product the very same materials with very same quality and be $300 cheaper. It just don't work out. They don't compute.
Right.
And as crowded as the suppressor market's getting, You know, high prices, this is the great thing about capitalism. High prices take care of high prices. So if things are jacked up out of reason, but the market's booming, other people are going to get in and it's going to bring that cost down.
Right.
Right? So that's why you see so many of these cans in the same price points.
John Miller said he's glad he got the high temp suppressor cover for his can. He said that sucker got hot today.
Mm-hmm.
We do have those.
So anyway, guys, this is the JK. And people like them or people hate them. Okay? They're not my favorite. I'll say it up front. They're not my favorite. They got a couple of cans I think are kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But these cans are designed to be run what we call wet. So you're putting, I thought it would be on these. They're not. It's not. But
That one doesn't.
So basically you're putting a gel in here and it'll last 8, 10, 12 shots and you do it again for maximum suppression. When you run them wet, they get really quiet. Mm-hmm. Once that goes away, once that's worn away, you're going to get a little more sound signature. The other neat thing about them is you can tailor them to length.
Yep.
You know, let's say this is a 45 can. So let's say I'm running it on I want to run this on a 45 pistol. I may not want all 6 or 7 baffles. I may only want 3. So it's a low cost can. It's probably the absolute cheapest can I can think of that I would actually think about owning. And the reason I say I don't want the others is simply because the materials. I'm still having to pay that $200 tax stamp.
Right.
So if I'm buying this really inexpensive can, let's say $250, $260 can that I've seen, I get emails about every day. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. If that can was only $250 or $260, I was going to shoot it and it was going to break or wear out or not be good. Not that $250 or $60 is a small amount of money, but okay, big deal. I ain't lost that much. But now I got to put a $206 tax stamp on it, so we're effectively doubling the cost. And I got to go through the pain in the butt of the registration paperwork with ATF, which is not nearly the pain in the butt it used to be by any means. But so why do I want to do all that for a subpar product that I'm not going to be happy with?
Right.
And I know you, Luke, you would not be happy with it.
Trey Click said, me too. I got that high temp can wrap. I really couldn't imagine running one without the wrap.
And those wraps do a few things. One, they will kind of protect your hand when you have the uh-oh moment.
And you'll only do that once too.
Especially if you don't have a wrap.
Yes.
And you burn all the nerves off in your hand. The other thing it does is it helps keep, after you've been shooting for a little bit, that can gets hot. Mm-hmm. And what's coming up off it can heat waves. What does your scope magnify? The blame heat waves.
Uh-huh.
So if you're sitting out, having a range session, and the heat waves coming up off your scope, that mirage coming up off your scope, or coming up off your can into your scope, can get on your nerves.
John Miller said, buy once, cry once. And Zach said, if we abolish the ATF, the NFA, then the ATF and the ATF, there'd be no $200 tax stamp.
And then we would be having an entirely different conversation.
Correct.
And, HR 222 or 322 is the House resolution that's been introduced in the House of Representatives to abolish the ATF. Uh, Frankly, guys, I don't think it'll ever get out of committee, but hey,
I hope it does.
we can hope. And unless we get behind it, and
It's
you
going to take
know,
a lot of people.
you know, especially in the Senate, the House and the Senate, you know, for those of us here, that's David Kushnoff, Marsha Blackburn, and Bill Haggerty. Um, these are supposed to be, for the most part, are very conservative people that were elected based on our people that think like we do. So they need to be made aware that you want to see stuff like that move forward.
Mike DeLong said, "Good evening, Tom."
Evening, Mike. Glad to have you.
Eric Ferguson said it can affect night vision too.
Yeah, absolutely it can. Absolutely it can.
What else you got over there?
So let's go to this one. I'm just going to keep pulling out cans, it looks like, right?
Yes.
This is a can that Dead Air introduced at 2024 SHOT Show.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Lazarus. It's a 6mm can. It's a can I really kind of ignored.
You did.
I did. And, Steph asked me about them a few times. I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. It's a 6mm can. It's really limited. It's not particularly light. I don't know.
So I went and did some research.
I don't know. And then she said, well, they're claiming it's got a really low tone.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, all right, kind of like you do the kids. When they've worried you enough, you go, okay, go ahead. So, okay, go ahead and get one. And I'm going to tell you what, they do have a low tone. And I think there was a lot of people maybe had the same ideas I had.
I think I'd really like one for my 5.56.
And what we find out is the people, it's a great 6mm can. So if you're shooting like 6 GT, 6 Dasher, 6 Arc, 6 Creed, 243, a lot of the 6mm stuff, it's really a neat can for that. Where it's really, really finding a home, though, is with 5.56 shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a small can that's grabbing enough volume and it's bringing the tone down that 5.56 shooters are just tripping over it. I mean, a lot of them, this is not me saying this, I'm repeating what customers have said, what people using these versus other said. It actually seems quieter than a lot of the cans that are made just for 5.56. And I think what they're finding there is that Dead Air paid a lot of attention to tone.
Mm-hmm.
You can cut decimals. Okay, you can cut decimals and cut decimals. After a point, 35 decimals, 40 decimals, that's what it is.
Zach Moore, you need to go and watch the first part of the show. He talked about SHOT Show on the first part. So go watch that. And Eric Ferguson says he's waiting on you to drop one so he can get one really cheap. If dropping that. There was a can that fell like 20 feet.
If I said what just went through my mind, it wouldn't come out right.
Probably not.
No, it really wouldn't. It really wouldn't. But when you drop tone, that makes a big difference. And the way I explain this to people is, think about your stereo. If you turn the treble all the way up, it seems like it's getting louder, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
But if you turn it all the way over to the bass, it don't seem quite as loud. The volume stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't touched the volume. Same way with the can. If you can get the can to bring the tone down,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to sound quieter. And that's what Dead Air has done with this can.
And that specific one comes with the Xeno adapter.
Yeah.
In the box.
Yep. Um, and it's a good size. Like I said, it's not a lightweight,
No.
but this can don't need to be for what it's built for.
Mm-mm.
This can is built for hard use.
Yes.
You know, a lot of these cans are not built for hard use. That's another thing. Going back to the question Luke asked, is what's the can rated for and what will it handle? If it's using the lesser expensive materials and so forth, you know, the can may have a lot of restrictions on what the manufacturer says you should use it on. You know, if you're using cheaper aluminum baffles, and let's say you put it on a 16-inch gun, that may be producing too much gas and blow the baffles out.
Yeah.
It may be producing too much pressure. It may say you have to put that on a 20-inch gun.
There's some that don't have any barrel restrictions.
There are,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to find that at the upper end.
Yes.
So the Dead Air Lazarus is a can worth checking out. Now these are toward that higher end.
And they do come in 3 colors. We have 2 of those colors.
Yeah, we got the gray and the black.
Mm-hmm.
But they run just under a G-Bob.
Jason Blanton said Thomas being a real salesman on this DA can.
I like the can.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, you know, I make a lot of definitive statements, and you know that, Jason. And I was wrong about this can, so I feel like I owe it to it. I overlooked it. You know, it's like, okay, big deal, but it really is a big deal, especially with what it does on 5.56 and bringing that tone down. It's nice. And then probably my favorite can.
It may look funny.
It looks funny. It's a can that we like to make fun of, and we do. Everybody does,
They make fun of it.
including the people that make it.
Yes.
But we make fun of it with respect.
Mm-hmm.
This is the AB F-22 Raptor. The particular one in my hand is a .375 caliber. It comes in 30 caliber, .338, and .375. The can comes with a reflex chamber. That's the actual length of the can, guys.
And they do have the,
Yeah, it comes with a normal back end.
yeah, to where you can just use it.
Yeah,
Directly
and
on there.
again, we'll say this: it's hub compatible.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're wanting to put a device in, like Jason was talking about running Dead Air key mod, if he had one of these and wanted to take the reflex chamber off, put the key mod adapter in, no problem.
I love those reflex chambers.
What this does, it actually, in a lot of ways, if you look right here, you'll see it's vented.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
All right.
So it's actually expanding your blast chamber, which is here, and venting gases. So this thing really is really, really quiet. It blows people's mind when they're shooting with me, and I bring that .375 Raptor out with one of these on it, and I set it off, and they're like, "What?" Or, if I'm sticking it on front of a a 300 Win Mag or 300 PRC, or it really surprises them how much sound it kills. But then when they get behind the rifle and shoot it, they cannot believe how much recoil this can takes away.
A lot.
A lot. It's more effective than any muzzle brake I've ever shot. And that says a lot.
Yeah, over on our YouTube channel, you can see us using one of those on the 375 Raptor. There's a lot of giggling from Tom.
And you get to see Stephanie shoot
Yes.
375 Raptor.
And I have shoulder issues. This shoulder is messed up. And I can shoot that.
So this is a great can. It's again toward the higher end. It's about $1,000.
It is grand.
The way it handles the gases is kind of cool. Rather than just trying to slow them down from getting out, they get inside here and it's twirling them, making them exhaust themselves.
I did notice in their packaging, if you open up, there's
Yeah, it's got a
book that
great
shows
cutaway
the,
picture.
Yes, shows
Great
the
cutaway
inside
picture.
Of it. It's awesome.
So, yeah, one of the funniest looking cans on the market. Yeah, it's one you can have a lot of fun making jokes about. But when it comes time to go to work,
That one does the job.
this does the job. This does the job. So, that's what we're going to say about actual cans for tonight. Damn, I'm already over an hour.
And
so-
yes, it will calm down a lot of the cans. I mean, a lot of the guns.
What's that?
The recoil and
On the
with one of
cans
those.
in general will calm down recoil.
Yes.
Okay? They affect recoil, sound, and concussion. That just does
That one goes above and beyond, in
Yes.
my opinion.
the design, the way they thought it out, the reflex chamber, the whole 9 yards, just really makes that can shine at it.
There's a genius behind that one.
You know, when you're sitting down on, a 300 rum, and it's not hitting you as hard as your 308, that's a heck of a recoil difference.
What else you got over there?
So some of the things people ask us about is different subsonic ammos. Right now we do have some. We got 308 in 50 round boxes from Atomic, running with the 175 grain hollow point boat tail. Nice and quiet.
What's your opinion on the Sig Sauer cans? Do y'all ever sell them? I love Sig Sauer guns. We've had some here, and they hung around a long time.
Not really a fan. For multiple reasons. And one is Sig has a really, really bad habit of making something, deciding, hey, let's go a little different direction, and then it's hanging out there and they drop any support for it. And that sucks when you got a can and it's not compatible. You know, Sig, a lot of the stuff they do, they try to do proprietary, and then they drop support for it, and I'm not a fan.
Now, if you want to buy one, we'll find one for you. But it's
I mean, they're in our silencer shop store if you want one.
we will get them for you.
But
He did ask your opinion.
if you're, my opinion is I don't recommend them because I just don't trust Sig to support them. What?
Any cuts, spreader chokes for a 410?
If you will call tomorrow and ask for Frank in the gunsmith, he very well may.
Call the gunsmith.
Yep.
I would suggest calling after 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you may have to call multiple times
Um,
because they do have their hands full.
but yeah, call in and talk to Frank, and there's a very good chance he does. Very good chance. Any more questions, right quick? You get back to the SIG thing. You can buy a better can for the same or less money, and not have to worry about.
Trick question, Tom. You sold me a SIG can 5 years ago. That's from Luke.
I get it, and that's where I learned. SIG, they had those cans. We did carry them,
Yeah.
and
And
SIG,
what did I say? They hung around a
yeah,
long time.
but SIG cheer, and we had them, and then all of a sudden SIG says, "Well, we're gonna do this," and they dropped all support for the cans. The fact of the people like Luke that I sold those to are the reasons I'm not happy about SIG anymore, and that's the reason I'm not a fan.
There you go.
Is they give me product that should still be supported, and then they dropped us in the middle of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when people like Luke, or people, who was it the other day that was in that same boat that had bought one back about that time,
I don't remember.
and I was trying just to find some stuff for him, and I think we finally found some in some remote corner of the internet. But that hurt. That makes me feel bad because I sold them that product, even though I got it in good faith from SIG, and it was SIG's decision to
Yeah.
drop support for it. It still makes me feel like crap because I sold it to people I know and like. And actually, people like that are the reason.
Yep.
Um,
So we don't carry those anymore.
no, and it's because, I had people like Luke and like Jeff and several others that bought SIG cans from me, and then SIG left everybody hanging. And that's why I don't really want any other new products. I don't trust them. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the places where I learned that I talk a lot about compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, we may shy away from this one because it wants to be proprietary, but these are hub adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's say freaking Dead Air went out of business tomorrow. They're not. I mean, they're a solid company, but let's just, for fun of it, say they went out of business tomorrow. Their cans that are out there are hub compatible.
Mm-hmm.
The front and the back sides are compatible with other cans.
So you can still find stuff that works
So
with it.
I can go to another manufacturer and still be able to support that product.
Luke said, all good, Tom. Can still runs fine.
I get it, but I mean, just give you an honest answer to the question.
Yep.
But anyway, some other subsonic stuff. This is kind of cool. We got 3030 subsonics in. And we got some 6.5 Creedmoor subsonic stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
So really kind of cool.
Don't you have some 223 over there and some?
There may be some. Yeah, I see some 223 over there. If you're shooting it in an AR, it's probably going to be a single shot. It'll be a quiet single shot, but it'll be a single shot.
It's just what happens.
300 blackout.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to show them some of the harder,
yeah,
less frequently found cartridges. But that kind of, with where we're at, this other stuff I was going to use as time filler if I didn't have enough to get through the show.
they can just stop by the shop and come
Yep.
and see what that's all about down there.
We have added AGM. We're starting to carry the Rattler V2s on the thermal scopes. So, as long as you're not expecting high-end pulsar performance, you can get into a good quality thermal for as little as 8.
Zach says, "What's your thoughts on the new Glock and Aimpoint union to make the Glock COA?"
Two good companies that have a tradition of doing good things. Now that, God, this is going to sound brutal. Now that Gadsden's not necessarily, oh hell, now that Gadsden's dead, you may see something nice come out of that union.
I did see that his widow was at SHOT Show.
I wonder if that was his 6th or 7th wife.
I don't know, the pretty blonde. Or are they all pretty blondes?
Was she over 25?
I think so.
You know, it's kind of, I think it's going to kind of be like Ruger. I think it's going to be interesting with Glock and how, you know, with, as long as Bill Ruger was alive and running the company, you know.
He said the way it mounts, I feel like it can easily be pushed to the left and right.
Well, you know, yeah, I could see it. But on the other hand, we're talking about aim point. And we're talking about Glock. So, you know, I'm going to hope that they've thought about that. It would not be a hard problem to fix. There could actually be a really simple fix to that. And it wouldn't cost but pennies to make a fix for that, if it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's interesting. I can't wait to see it, get it in my hand. That's one thing I kind of look forward to. Kind of makes you wonder where Aimpoint's going, or where Leupold's going to end up with the project they did with them, where they made the little delta point that goes in the rear sight groove for Glocks. Sits down. It's no higher than a standard rear sight.
I don't think I've seen that.
They're over in the case.
I haven't seen them.
So it's interesting, Zach. It's going to be the potential for something really good. We just have to see how the execution comes out. Any other questions?
Nope, but if you have any questions, sounds like Tom's about ready to wrap it up, so...
Shoot them in.
Yes.
Nope.
Well, you got to give them a second. You know, we're a little delayed. And they maybe can't type very fast.
Hey, for any of you coyote hunters, they're thinking about a new rifle, and you know, one of the things I would say to you right now, be thinking about is the ARC cartridges.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be 6mm or 22 ARC. Boys and girls, these things are devastating. And I think their cartridge is going to be here for the long haul. They've already gotten such commercial acceptance that I don't see them going away.
Zach says he kind of wants one of the Glock.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I really do. All right. Well, with that, we are going to wrap it up tonight. And I'm going to go home and lay on my heating pad and wrap up in my blankets and see if I can get the feeling better. And anybody that's out and around this weekend, of course, we're here Friday and Saturday, 9 to 5. Stop by and see us. Lots and lots of cool stuff come in. We're probably running right around, probably back up to around 1,400 guns in here right now.
We got a bunch.
Probably around 14, something like that. All kinds of different stuff, great used gun selection, great suppressor selection.
Yes.
Optics are pretty good right now. We're supposed to have some of the thermals coming in from Holliston, the new Holliston thermals coming in. So stop and see us, visit with us. Look forward to seeing y'all. Until next week, God bless America and God bless you.